Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all of you. Welcome to Parliamentary Pondering, John. And we have today a very, very special guest from Paris.
We do.
Yes.
And we're very fortunate. Good morning to you, Sarah, and thank you. Thank you for joining us and being willing to share the fruits of your experience and wisdom.
And I would like to present,
thank you very much.
Je vous présente de Paris, mon général, Vincent Desportes, who is, I present to you mon général, Vincent Desportes, who was the commander of the French War College, l'école de guerre, the commanding person for the whole. And it's a real pleasure to have mon général avec nous. We're going to try and keep it in English so that it's not too confusing. Today the subject is, and we're at the London School of Economics, John. So I welcome both of you to my alma mater. I did my bachelor's from here, and of course we met when I was doing my master's. That's how I got to know the general at Sciences Po. So he was teaching grand strategy, and he teaches grand strategy to huge corporations as well as to the elite school, Sciences Po, and many others. He has his own consultancy for grand strategy. He's written amazing books on grand strategy in French. So I have sent you a translation in English. I hope that all of you will read.
Thank you.
Over to you, mon général. Alors, la première question que j'ai pour vous, c'est que, in English, in the complex world that we live in, is it still possible, mon général, to do grand strategy, especially for statesmen? How do you do grand strategy for statesmen in our complex political situation?
I think that the more complex is the world and the more evolving it is, the more important it is to have a grand strategy. And very often, statesmen or people in charge of big companies and so on, that it's not possible to make strategy. As I think that it's possible to fix the future just taking into account the daily issues. You know, they don't try to shape the future. And if you want to shape the future along your own view, you need to make a strategy. And I think that's a great issue of our today's world is that people don't understand that, and they concentrate their energy and their time in fixing the daily issues. But when you are a leader in charge of a nation or of a big company, you need to forget the details of the present time to try to envision and to want the future and to build the way to go to your. If you want to navigate, you need to have a strategy. You need to know exactly where you want to go to. If you don't have this point in the future where you want to bring your country or your people or your company, you are going to go erratic in the present time, and you are going to achieve nothing. So that's the reason why I am teaching strategy, as you know. Is the reason why I give advices to great companies in order for them not to stay in tactics and techniques, but to have a grand strategy for a state or just strategy for a great company.
So basically, if I may repeat, like just to sort of have a holistic picture on this, would you agree that there are too many tacticians in the world, and especially on the political side in terms of statesmen, and less strategic thinkers on the political side?
Absolutely. I don't know exactly how the United Kingdom is working, but in France, we know that any representative or even our president is too much focusing on the next election. And in fact, they are not building the future. They are not trying to win the next election. And as we have election not anymore, but very often in France, in fact, they are dealing to appease. They try to appease the French citizen. And I think that it is more and more difficult in a democracy to have a grand strategy. And I think that you need to be great and enough to have to be brave enough to understand that your job, your responsibility is not to appease your citizens, but to have a real vision for your country, of your company.
May I ask you, following up on that, whether in your judgment, and maybe it varies from one corporate to another or from one political environment to another, and maybe it doesn't, whether you think that a grand strategy has to have some sort of time frame attached to it. In other words, would you conceive in terms of a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan? And are there points on the way at which that needs to be reviewed? That's, in a sense, my first question. Should it be in some way time limited so that it is both ambitious and realistic, both? And do you think that maybe it would concentrate corporate minds if those responsible for that strategy had a very limited number of deliverable objectives? In other words, trying to do 3 things well rather than 6 things indifferently.
I think, Mohsen and I, this brings us straight to our favorite subject, l'effet majeur, no?
Exactly.
So we're going to talk about l'effet majeur.
Yeah, exactly. You're perfectly right. I think that first, you need not only an objective, but you need a vision for a statement. You need to understand what is your country on earth for what? What do you want for your country? A great vision. What must be United Kingdom in the future? Broadly speaking, this is a vision, but inside this vision, you need to have clear objectives to achieve in a pretty short time frame. I would say 5 years or 6 years, but not a too short time frame. If you have a too short time frame, this is tactics, it's not strategy. But so you have a vision that is an everlasting vision for your country or for your strategy, what we call in France a raison d'être. Raison d'être, I don't know how we can say that.
Yeah, it's English.
Yeah.
Raison d'être.
Translates. Yeah.
Okay. And
what's your purpose? Why are you there?
Yes, exactly. A general purpose, exactly. And inside this raison d'être, you have objectives that you try to achieve. But what you have said after is very, very important. Obviously, you can't fight any battle. You need to fight only the good one. And if I may quote Napoleon, I know that the British people like very much Napoleon as we like Wellington. And
I think I know your
Napoleon
quote.
said, strategy is a choice of battles. The point, for example, Napoleon is a good example because due to the fact that Great Britain built coalitions against him, and Napoleon was always fighting against the bigger army than he had. So it was impossible for him to fight against everybody at the same time. So he has to choose very carefully his battle, and even in the heart of any of its battle, he has to find the point where he was supposed to engage his main thrust, because in fact he was always fighting against superior numbers. And it remains now, and we know that we have to choose our battle. So I don't know how. You have to renounce. The main difficulty for a strategist is to renounce. Can I say that? To renounce?
Oui, voilà, renoncer,
yeah.
C'est ça, oui.
If you are not able to renounce, you can't be a great strategist. You have a vision, you have an objective, and you have 3 or 4 main battles to fight for in the 2 or 3 coming years. And it's not like that. As I thought, and make strategy advice in the companies, and usually company leaders have 100 objectives, and nobody understands what they have to do. Nobody understands the plan, and you need to make the plan clear in order for everybody to understand what you want. If you are unable to explain what you want to achieve, and if you have too many objectives, it's impossible. So you need to make things very clear, to concentrate a vision, one objective, 3 or 4 main battles. And with this point, it will be possible for you to make a very good storytelling to the people, because strategy, he knows he is not only achieving an aim, but it is also putting earth and mind to this objective. And if your plan is too complicated, it will be absolutely impossible for you to explain clearly what you expect.
If I may quote, Mon Général, from your own book, Napoleon, he did say, and you quote in your book, there are lots of good generals, but they see too many things at once. I only see once.
Exactly. I think it was one of the many, but one of the important reasons why Napoleon was much better than the others, because he has this feeling that strategy must be clear, must be simple. You have to see one thing and to work on it very permanently, I would say.
And also, if I may quote Churchill from the same book, and I think, John, you're going to like that. You're a big Churchill fan. However beautiful the strategy, you should occasionally look at the results.
Well, that's the sort of wry humour for which Churchill was renowned. Yeah. The essence of it, of course, is true. Yeah, I suppose what he's saying is, does the theory translate?
Exactly. And Churchill knew this very well, because, as you know, he designed the landing in Gallipoli and the attack in the Dardanelles in 1915. And his strategy was very clear, was very good, but in fact, it did not take into account what was happening on the ground. And so there was a kind of disconnect between